My golden sister called me a loser at Mom's anniversary, but I showed who the real winner is. My name's Josh, I'm 25, and being part of my family feels like starring in a reality show nobody asked for. Think of it as a mix between a low-budget drama and one of those over-the-top cooking competitions where everyone's pretending they're the star chef. Except in this kitchen, the only thing cooking is my patience. Thanks to my sister, Holly. Holly's 29, the so-called golden girl. She could trip over her own feet, and somehow the family would clap like she just won Olympic gold. Me, I could cure cancer, and they'd say, "Well, Josh, maybe next time try harder." So, yeah, you can imagine the dynamic. The scene. Mom's 50th birthday party. Big deal. Fancy venue, overpriced catering, and so much wine you'd think they were preparing for a flood. Everything was fine. Well, as fine as family gatherings can be, until Holly decided it was time to give a speech. She stood up, champagne glass in hand, striking a pose like she was accepting an award. That was her thing, turning every family event into her personal TED Talk. "Here's to Mom," she began, all smiles and fake sincerity. "And to my little brother, Josh." Her voice took on this sing-songy tone that immediately made me want to crawl under the table. You know, it takes real courage to keep showing up to these things when you're still figuring life out. I mean, not everyone can be a winner. What the? The room went dead silent, except for the sound of my dignity being drop-kicked across the room. I felt my face heat up, that slow burn of anger creeping into my chest. Holly just stood there, smiling like she'd delivered some kind of heartfelt compliment, but we all knew better. Trying to play it cool, I forced a smile and said, "Thanks, Holly. Your support means the world." But of course she wasn't done. Oh no, Holly never stopped at just enough. She was the queen of way too much. "Oh, and remember Josh's big idea? That tech thing? What was it called? Oh right, Spark Dreams. Cute name. Too bad it didn't exactly catch fire." The words hit like a slap. Spark Dreams was my startup, the one I'd poured everything into. Money, time, sleep, hope. And yeah, it failed. Hard. But did she really have to drag it out in front of the whole family? I looked around the table. Awkward glances. Mom was biting her lip, Dad was staring at his plate, and Uncle Mike was pouring himself more wine like, "Not my circus, not my monkeys." My jaw tightened as I fought the urge to go nuclear. "Anyway," Holly continued, because apparently her ego needed more airtime. "Thanks, Mom, for teaching us to keep dreaming. Even if some of us," she gave me a pointed look, "aren't quite there yet." Cue her fake little laugh, the kind that said, "I'm hilarious, aren't I?" Spoiler, she wasn't. I gripped the edges of the table, my knuckles white. The room was spinning, but not from the wine. It was pure rage. In that moment, something snapped. Maybe it was the months of biting my tongue, or the way she looked so smug, like she'd won some invisible competition. Whatever it was, I knew one thing. Holly had just declared war, and I wasn't about to lose. The night wrapped up with the kind of goodbyes that feel more like signing a peace treaty than actual affection. I plastered on my best fake smile, hugged a few relatives who reeked of too much wine, and drove home in silence. But inside, I was a volcano about to blow. Holly's words weren't just insults. They were a full-blown declaration of war. For 2 days, I stewed, her smug little smirk haunting me like a bad song stuck on repeat. By the end of it, I wasn't just angry. I was ready to act. Let's get one thing straight about Holly. Her perfect image, a total scam. She's like those influencers who post yoga poses on cliffs, but conveniently forget to mention the guy holding their safety harness. Sure, she looked glamorous with her Instagram-worthy vacations and overpriced designer outfits. But underneath all that sparkle was pure rot. And the worst part? I had proof. This wasn't just about her cutting remarks or her insufferable attitude. No, this was about years of Holly running her life like a personal Ponzi scheme. She'd max out credit cards, then borrow money from family to pay them off. Only she never paid anyone back. One time, she convinced our grandma, who's on a fixed income, to lend her money for urgent car repairs. Spoiler, It went to some exclusive yoga retreat in Sedona. And let's not forget the cherry on top. She sweet-talked me into lending her $2,000 for a soul-searching trip to Bali. She promised she'd pay me back in a month. That was 2 years ago. I let it slide back then, thinking, family comes first. But after her stunt at Mom's party, family be damned. Holly was about to learn that the golden glow she flaunted so much was about to tarnish. And fast. I started digging. I'm not proud of how deep I went, but hey, desperate times call for desperate measures. Old texts? Found them. Bank statements she carelessly left on the kitchen counter at a family BBQ? Bingo. And the best part? Cousin Becky, our family's resident gossip queen, had a treasure trove of rumors she was dying to spill. Turns out, Holly wasn't just bad with money. She was neck-deep in financial chaos. Credit card debt up to her ears, loans from shady online lenders, and my personal favorite, her company credit card. She'd been using it for everything. High-end shopping sprees, 5-star dinners, and even a week-long spa retreat she billed as a work seminar. If her boss ever got wind of this, Holly wouldn't just lose her job. She'd be blacklisted faster than she could say, personal growth. At first I thought about confronting her. You know, a classic heart-to-heart. But then I remembered her speech at Mom's party and thought, why go for a slap when I could deliver a knockout? Holly wasn't just going to get called out. She was going to get exposed. Thanksgiving came around, and the tension was thick. Mom insisted on hosting, saying family unity was important, but we all knew what that really meant. Another round of Holly acting superior. She strutted in late, as usual, dripping in designer labels she probably couldn't afford. The evening dragged on with Holly hogging attention. She regaled the table with stories of her successful marketing career and how she was planning her next business expansion. It was a lot of words that said nothing, but my parents ate it up. After dessert, I made my move. Standing up, I cleared my throat. Hey everyone, since Holly loves talking about success, I thought I'd share something I learned recently. Holly froze, her smile twitching. Oh, what's this about, Josh? I pulled out printed statements, the company card expenses, screenshots of her shady Venmo requests, and a photo of her at the spa conference. I laid them on the table like a magician revealing his trick. This, I said, is the real Holly, using company money for spa days, maxing out cards, and lying about it. How's that for success? The room went dead silent. Holly's face turned pale, then red. What is this crap? You're just jealous. Jealous? I shot back. Of what? Your debt? Your fraud? Or the fact that if your boss saw this, you'd be out on the street? Mom gasped. Dad tried to speak, and Holly lost it. She stood up, knocking over her chair. You're such a loser, Josh. This is why no one takes you seriously. And this is why no one trusts you. I fired back. You're not golden, Holly. You're fake. A fraud. She stormed out, slamming the door behind her. The family sat in stunned silence, and for the first time I felt free. A week later, the fallout hit. Holly's boss got an anonymous package, copies of those receipts, plus a letter explaining her spending habits. I heard through the grapevine that she'd been fired on the spot. Apparently, stealing from the company wasn't the entrepreneurial spirit they were looking for. But it didn't end there. Holly's boyfriend, the one funding her lifestyle, he dumped her when he found out she'd been siphoning money from his account. She went from high heels to rock bottom in record time. And me? I was doing just fine. My family was torn. Mom and Dad tried to get me to apologize. She's your sister. But I held firm. For the first time in years, I felt like I wasn't living in Holly's shadow. The best part? She hasn't spoken to me since. And honestly, that's the real win.